For the sake of time and not repeating the same information 20 or so times, I am just making one feedback video for all of the designing APA format document week 6 Blackboard activity. A couple of you had your documents 100% perfect. Everything that I was looking for, everything that APA requires was there, and that was great. And then everyone else, maybe 3/4 of the class or so, had at least one small error, and then some people had a couple of small errors. And so I just want to go through in this video one more time how to design an APA formatted document. Now, if you're not using Microsoft Word, then most of this stuff is going to be the same, but some of the controls and how to configure the running header, or how to I don't know, maybe do hanging indent or something like that, will be a little bit different. So I would encourage you to either email me and say, oh, could you make a tutorial video on how to do using a certain software, such as like Google Drive. I wouldn't be able to do it on any kind of like Mac software that I couldn't download on my computer, but I can definitely show you anything on Google Drive if anyone is using that, or maybe even Word Online. I could show you that. So I'm going to go through this, and then the other thing I'm going to do at the end when I'm formatting the primary source references is go through one more time and show you what to do if you have multiple references by the same author published in the same year. So you'll see another example of that, and this is likely to come up particularly for anyone who's looking at just one individual's like one person is your case study, or just a small collection of people are your case study. So here we are. I am in Microsoft Word. I'm going to increase this just a little bit, and I'm going to double click into the header, and that takes me directly to the design tab for header and footer. And so what I want to make sure I do is select different first page, because otherwise I'm going to have the same thing on every page for my header, and you only want to have running head on the first page. Once I do that, I'm going to go in and change the font to Times New Roman, size 12. This is only going to apply for my header, so I'm going to have to manipulate that later on. I type running head colon and then my all caps title, whatever that's going to be. I'm going to push tab once. That's going to take me to the middle. And now I'm going to push tab again, and that's going to take me to the far right. This is where I want to go ahead and insert a page number. If I select top of page and on the right hand side, it's going to remove everything I just typed with running head and then title. So I actually want to go down to current position, which is where my cursor is right now, and pick plain number 1. Alright, so there we have it. This is my header for my first page, and then I should be able to insert a page break, and I can see then on page 2 there's nothing, it's blank. This gives me the opportunity to again go in and change the font to Times New Roman size 12, and then just type in my all caps title, again tabbing in once. The reason it goes here is because my tab stops are right here. You see this little upside down T? That's a tab stop. If you tab once and you don't go here, double check and see, do you have a tab stop right here on your ruler. If you can't even see your ruler, you can go to view and make sure that ruler is selected, and then you can always change the settings so the ruler is always selected. Okay, so then I tab over again, and oops, I tabbed too many times. That takes me to the right, and I will insert page number, current position. I pick the first option. Okay, so my headers are good to go. Now I can format my overall document. Even though I did my headers with Times New Roman size 12, the body hasn't carried over, so I have to change that as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and center my cursor by selecting paragraph. I do notice a lot of the times people will like tab into the middle. Don't do that. It's not going to make it perfectly centered every time, and it's going to look really wonky. So you just select center, and then you don't want to go ahead and type your title at the very top of the page for your cover page. APA says something like 2/3 of the way down is where you want to put actually I'm gonna back up, is where you want to put your title. And what I need to do is, I think, go ahead and double space. So I'm going to go to this spacing and do 2.0. Another way you can double space is by holding down Control and pushing 2. That'll double space it. So now when I push enter, I go down a little more. I'm going to put my title here. Now this title is not in all capital letters. If you decide to have a subtitle, you need to have a colon after your title. If you don't want to have a subtitle, then you don't need a colon. Subtitle would be on the second line. Your name would be on the third line if you have a subtitle. If you don't have a subtitle, your name would be where the subtitle is. And then your institution, Mitchell Community College. Okay, now I'm going to come down to the second page and center. This is my abstract page. Oh, my abstract page doesn't have the right font either. So just always be on the lookout for the font. I think that's because I inserted the page break before I changed the font. Then I'm going to come down to a new line. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure this is double spaced either. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, now I'm good. But the abstract is not centered and it is not indented, so this is where I begin typing my abstract. La la la. But the keywords are keyword 1, indented, keyword 2, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to go down to a new line and insert another page break. You don't have to insert page breaks, you can enter down. That's what I used to do when I was a student. I see the pros and cons, mostly the cons, but I don't think it's really too bad to do that. Then you're going to go back and center your title again here. If you have a subtitle, you're going to need to have it again here. If you don't have a subtitle, that's fine. Remember, your title in your running head can be a shortened version of whatever your title is going to be, and you don't want to include your subtitle. So even if your title and subtitle can both fit on your running head, I wouldn't say put them both up there. Alright, then you go back to the left, indent, and type your introduction, and then indent for your body paragraphs. Okay, right, there we go. I will just go ahead and insert another page break, and here I'm on my last part. This is the part that's going to take the longest so that I can show you how to do the references. It will be titled references. Go back to the left. Alright, so I have Twitter pulled up on a different screen here, and I randomly found this and I thought it was interesting, and if you have a foot problem, then definitely don't watch this part of the video. But this guy is on a plane and he's controlling some kind of iPad with his feet. It's kind of funny. So here is one of the tweets that I'm going to cite, and I'm also going to cite this tweet down below. These are two completely different primary sources. Oh boy. And we're going to start with the author's information. So her last name is Burke, and that's what we want here, Burke, comma A. We can put her handle in parentheses afterward if we want to, and just for, I guess, the most easily identifiable information, you might want to do that. Like, let's say you had a really common name, then having that at handle information would help your reader better find the tweet if they wanted to look for it. So it's just at and then her name, Alifair Burke. Okay, you want to have a period after that, and then actually these need to be in square brackets. Okay, so you want to have a period after that, and then you can go ahead and give the APA date information. So that is below this video. It is the 15th of July 2019. So you start with the year. You want to have a comma after the year. This is something that I think is easily forgotten. So just remember, the month will always be written out, and then the day, period. Then you want the content. Now, of course, I'm not going to like put the video in there, so all I need to do is just replicate what she posted. My friend who doesn't have Twitter with a lowercase t sent this from her flight. It belongs on Twitter. My friend who doesn't have Twitter sent this from her flight. It belongs on Twitter, capital T. I'm just going to confirm that I did that correctly. Okay. This is, now she has a period at the end of her citation or her post, so I'm going to keep that period there. If she didn't have a period, I wouldn't keep the period in there. Then I'm going to tag this as a tweet. While it's okay to do something like Instagram post or whatnot, Twitter, APA says to tag it as a tweet and not a Twitter post. I'm not really sure why. If you want to say the date you access the information, you would put retrieved. What is today? The 17th, I think. Retrieved July 17th, 2019 from, and then I can just copy and paste this URL. I do not want it to be blue, I do not want it to be underlined, I do not want it to be in the wrong font, so I am going to make the paste options as keep text only. Alright, and then APA doesn't have a final period at the end. Now when I entered down it turned it blue, so I'm going to use the command Control-Z to undo the blue and go down to my next citation. I'm not finished yet. I'm going to come back and do the hanging indent, but I'm just going to do them both at the same time, and then I'm going to come back and do a couple of other things as well. So the next citation that I want to add is I do not accept defeat. This was also from July 15th, so a lot of this content I'm just going to copy from my previous citation, 2019, July 15th. I do not accept defeat. Okay, did she put a period after that? Yes, she did. This is a tweet, and same thing. By the way, you do not have to put the date that you accessed information unless you feel the information could be gone at some point. I think this is the same URL. And in this case, I do think that the information, could be deleted. So I'm going to put the date I accessed it. Alright, so here I have my two citations. The first thing that I want to do is just go ahead and make these in hanging indent. So I highlight both of them. I'm going to go up to, here I'm in the Home tab. I'm going to go to paragraph, the paragraph portion of the Home tab, and select this extra arrow that gets me into the paragraph settings. And then in indentation, I'm going to go and change special to hanging. And click OK. Now these are formatted correctly. What I noticed though is, how do I put these in alphabetical order? First I have Burke, and then I have Burke, so I can't alphabetize that way. I don't alphabetize based on the @ handle. I don't organize based on the date, even if these dates were different. In this case they're not. The only thing I organize based on is the author's last name, or the first letter of the content, the title, or in this case the content of our primary source. So what do you know? I comes before M in the alphabet, which means my second citation actually needs to be my first citation. So when I do that, I get an extra space, which I want to remove. This is what I need to have here. There's only one other thing I have to do. When I'm creating my in-text citations, this would be Burke 2019, and this would be Burke 2019. So how do I tell my reader which reference on my references page I'm referring to when I'm citing it in the body of my paper? I do that by immediately following the year, adding little letters. So this gets an A because now that I've alphabetized it, it comes first on my references page, and this gets a B because now that I've alphabetized it, it comes second on my references page. I'm showing you this for the purposes of clarity, but you would not put this on your references page. The first citations in text citation would be Burke, 2019A, and the second would be Burke, 2019B. This is what I would need at the end of quoted or paraphrased material anytime I'm referencing either of these tweets, depending on which one, because my reader would be able to easily find the author's information and then which citation I'm looking at based on the year. So that is what I needed to see minus the in-text citations exactly for the week 6 activity. If you guys have any questions, if I can help you with this at all, just let me know.